Okay, so let's talk about Alien Earth episode 5. This is the latest episode in which we're going to get some answers as to what exactly happened in that first episode with the vessel that of course crash landed on Prodigy and has brought us all into this mess that we see now. Speaking of Alien, of course, we currently have several polls up on our post part in the YouTube channel, so go check that out by going to the channel to vote for your favorite 70s horror film. We do have a video for that as well, and polling closes tomorrow, so make sure you go and vote for your favorite 70s horror film. So the latest episode is going to be called In Space, No One, directed and written by Noah Hawley, which is going to be the first time that Noah Hawley comes back to the series on his own. The others had a other director, other writers, and all of that, but this is going to be the first one where it's just Hawley since episode 1, and it's going to be the last one. This is going to be like episode 5 and episode 1 are just Hawley on his own, which I find curious. So very excited to see how this one's going to go. But in this one, we do have a brief synopsis that reads, an outer space vessel in peril leads to a dangerous reckoning. So I think we're going to really find out what happened on that vessel. It seems that the new trailer is focusing in on that, which I am very interested to see. It sounds like somebody on the vessel itself didn't want the aliens to come back to Earth, to Yutani. And I'm curious as to why. Is there another company here, or was it more of a moral dilemma? And I think it gives us a bit more context into what exactly Merl was so afraid of happening, which is going to be, of course, that the specimens weren't going to make it back. He is a cyborg, which is a human with synthetic parts, a security officer, and is very loyal to Yutani, not really because of the company itself, but because this is all he has left. We heard it in the conversation he had with Yutani that he is getting those specimens no matter what, even though they said, don't worry, we got it, it's none of your business. He says, no, I wasted and gave 65 years of my time for this. I have no family left, nothing at all. The specimens are what's left. Now, what's interesting with Merl as well as with Wendy, who I believe are kind of in the same coin, is that they are pretty much the only ones that the Xenomorphs are not attacking up until this point. And it seems that there's something more of a, I would say, like connection between them. We saw it in the first episodes when Merl was able to get close to the Xenomorph, and the Xenomorph was like, bro, you're here. All right, I'm out. And nothing happened. We see it in the previous episode that we just got with Wendy being able to communicate with the Xeno baby. I think in this episode we're going to see what exactly the crew thinks of Yutani, what exactly Yutani was up to. We could get some background into what Yutani's plans were for this alien beings. And I do have a theory about that as well that I'll talk about in a bit. But I am excited to see how Merl is going to find out that somebody in the crew was trying to get rid of them. And I wonder what that reason was. Maybe they found out what Yutani was really trying to do with them. Maybe they knew that once the beings were brought back that they wouldn't make it back. And maybe they were holding it as ransom or as leverage. Who knows, right? But what I think here is happening, and this is a wild theory, and I'm just going to lay it out there. I think Yutani was trying to take out Prodigy, and I think the reason that they brought these specimens back to Earth is they had a feeling that maybe they would do a whole thing where this vessel, quote unquote, like landed on Prodigy on accident, right? Quote unquote accident. But the true reason is they know Boy, they know his ambitions and that he thinks he's smarter than everybody, and they knew he would try to go and experiment. And in a way you could see Prodigy as being like the experiment, right, itself. They want to see what these alien beings will do on Earth with certain people, but of course Yutani's not going to bring them to where they are. They're going to do it in a place where they can see from afar, and this place is Prodigy. That's a wild theory and may not even make sense, but it kind of is something I'm kind of leaning towards right now. And I like to make theories. I like to go off the top of my head when I'm watching something. I just feel like Yutani is so very like nonchalant about it, and they're not really going out there already to take it away from Prodigy. They're just like, let's see how it plays out. But if you spent all this time with research and money to try and get these beings, then you would just be in there trying to get these from Prodigy and away from Boy. But I think they know Boy thinks he is better than everybody else, and that is a flaw, a huge flaw that people can have, is where you think you're so smart that things go over your head. And I think that his ego is going to be the death of him. him. And I think it will definitely be something we're going to see in the coming episodes. So here's my thoughts on this episode. We're going to find out that these beings were being used maybe as weapons, not really being used as a thing to study. Maybe there is some studying going on here and there, but I think that they more or less were using it as bait to get rid of competition, and Prodigy of course is big competition for them, especially being such a young person as Boy. I think they don't really like the idea of him being up there with them, so Yutani is using this against Boy himself. But also there's some research to be found here to see how the beings are going to perform around people and how they interact, and it's just one giant peachy dish basically. So in this episode we're definitely going to be seeing Merl try and take control of it all. I don't think Merl is in all of this that Yutani is doing. I really do think Merl is just trying to keep the vessel afloat because this is his work, this is all he has left. And imagine you spent all of this time, your family is gone, and it was just all for nothing. So I think that's what we're going to see in this episode, is a conflict between Merl and Yutani and whoever is trying to get rid of the alien life forms for whatever reason it is. Maybe they find out that Yutani truly is using this for evil purposes, and it's going to be interesting to see. But a very interesting episode for sure, episode 5 is going to be. But let me know what you think about my theory about Yutani planning this whole crash and trying to use it to take out Boy. What do you think is the reason that somebody on the vessel wants to get rid of the aliens, as we heard from the trailer? Comment it below and let me know. But I'm very excited, really loving what we're seeing from Alien Earth, and I still haven't even brushed up on Wendy, which I will make a separate video about Wendy and how I think her whole thing is going to be, as well as for Kirsch. So many moving parts, so many characters are so interesting that all have very much so different wants and needs, and I think all of them culminating into one is going to be such a great way to like see where the season goes, especially as we're at the halfway point now with episode 5. I think that things are really going to pick up and go at a very interesting level. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you're excited for episode 5 of Alien Earth, and if you're watching the season so far, what do you think about it? Are you loving it or not? I see a lot of people sort of in the middle, like not sure. A lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people love it, so I'm interested. The viewership for this has been sort of in the same range. There was a bigger influx when it first came out, I'm reading, but it has dropped quite a bit, not too much, but it's like 20% or so. So I'm curious to see if sort of these episodes bring people back. I think the next episode we're going to get is going to really feel more of a like call back to the Alien film, because of course our first episode had those vibes, and I think this one's going to be it. So I'm curious to see if this episode brings a lot of people back and gets them excited as we race to the finale. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, about 8,000 away from that, so make sure you go ahead and hit that. I'll see all of you next time. As always, stay safe, stay positive.